Doctor Who's The War Between the Land and the Sea spin-off has finished airing. It's done and dusted, so I'm going to go back on all 5 episodes and give you my thoughts on each episode. If you just want a review of the latest episode, you can skip to the timestamps down below to the final bit of the video, which will be my episode 5 discussion. But before all that, let's hop in to the synopsis and review for episode 1. We open on a fishing boat that, believe it or not, has caught a fish, but it's also caught a sea devil. Homo aqua. Then Alonso gets a call saying that he's needed for a special mission. He gets a helicopter over to Spain with a load of people more important than him, and then pays respect to a fallen soldier of the fish people. The fish people then take their revenge and kill 2 of the humans, and so UNIT have a little chat with the sea puppies and they want peace. So they're gonna hold a big meeting in Thames House, London. And out walks the definitely not attractive super sexy fish lady, and she chooses Budgie as the human representative. And then roll credits. Okay, episode 1. I'm gonna be a little bit weird here, right? I feel like I'm the only person on the planet who's seen this and gone, it didn't massively blow me away. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad. It was not bad, and I really had a good time watching it, but I feel like from all the trailers I've been watching and everything I'd seen, the hype building up to it, it felt like it would be a lot more than just jump straight in. There was no build up. We literally jumped straight in with Barclay, and I've rewatched it a couple of times now, and on those rewatches I've come to love it more for what it is. I will say what I'm seeing online is everyone going like, why is this better than anything we've had in Doctor Who for the past 2 years? I can tell you straight up why. This is just speculation, right? But this is 100% in my head what's happened. Russell T Davies lives in Swansea, and he's gone and he's looked at the sea and he's gone, it'd be great if, the sea came alive and started to fight us humans for all the pollution. Let's do that for a Doctor Who spin-off using the Sea Devils. And he's gone and he's pitched that. And then what's happened is Chris Chibnall's left, Jodie Whittaker's left, and there's no one else left who wants to take on the showrunner job. There's nobody else they know who could be the Doctor. And they think, well, Russell wants to do this spin-off. We're partnering with Disney, let's ask Russell to come back. And Russell goes, oh, marvellous, marvellous. And he takes on that job as well. I think the reason this is, in many people's eyes, this is better than the actual Doctor Who show, is because Russell wanted to do this. This was what he set out and he wanted to do from the off. And that's personally why I think it's come out better. And Russell, at the minute, works so much better with serialised stuff, like It's a Sin and Years, and his new series Tiptoe, which comes out next year, which obviously I haven't seen, but it's serialised, I'm assuming. And the main reason why I say this is because he had this script for the pilot of The War Between the Land and the Sea written before he even wrote The Star Beast, which was the first episode of this Disney era with David Tennant. To me, it's blatantly obvious that he wanted to do this first. But yeah, I think originally he just wanted to do this and then got dragged back into the showrunner role because he was meant to write an episode in Series 9. The Series 9 opener with Davros and the Doctor was meant to be set in a courtroom, and it was Davros being put on trial, and the Doctor was there as Davros's witness or whatever it is. Russell T Davies was asked to write that by Stephen Moffat, but he turned it down. Russell was very much like, I want to leave the past in the past, so it seems a bit weird for 5-6 years later for him to just all of a sudden switch up and be like, yes, I want to come back as the showrunner role. Like, what? Lorne Balfe was amazing as well. He did the composition, is that what you call it? Composition? The score for the show. I listened to the entire soundtrack on Thursday night. Well, technically it would have been Friday morning, wouldn't it, when it aired. I listened to the entire thing all the way through, and it was just marvellous. And straight away the title sequence as well I thought was really, really good. I'm a big sucker for a title sequence, I must admit. Is it better than Doctor Who? No. Is it better than the Torchwood title sequence? No. Is it better than the Sarah Jane Adventures title sequence? Debatable. They're different shows. They are different shows. Is it better than the Class title sequence? Yes, it is. Yes. I was not a fan of the Class title sequence. It felt a bit too kiddie. So going back to what I said earlier about how it didn't blow me away and it didn't go past my expectations just yet, right? Just stay with me. Okay, now bear in mind also, I'm reviewing this as it goes out. So I'm not here saying my thoughts on episode 1 after watching the finale. I've only seen episodes 1 and episode 2. That's all I've seen, okay? So bear with me if stuff I say now does get answered along the way, so just bear with that. The main reason this didn't properly blow me away is because it was very fast-paced. The first episode I thought would be like 3 episodes, if that makes sense. The first 15 minutes of episode 1 I thought would be its own episode. The second 15 minutes, when the Sea Devils come out and there's the whole communication scene, thought that would be its own episode. And then finally the big, you know, the building of the tank in Emperor's Hall. I thought that would be its own episode as well. No, it was all just bundled into one. And it felt very, very fast. And episode 2 felt very, very slow. So it's sort of, you know, I feel like it could have been spread out a little bit better. Maybe only reveal Salt in episode 2. There's a lot of, I know this is going on to episode 2, I will get back to episode 1, but in episode 2 there's a lot of, we're in the big Empress Hall, we're talking, and then, right, everyone leave, and then we go and do some character stuff, and then we come back to the hall, and everyone's talking, that feels a bit jittery to me. I'd rather just get all of the hall stuff done, and then all of the character stuff done, or some character stuff, hall, than other character stuff, you know, to me that makes more sense to do that. But this is also a good thing, because it does mean that surprises are in store, because a lot of the trailer has been from a lot of clips from the trailer have been taken from these first 2 episodes, so, you know, like I said, I'm recording this, I haven't seen episode 3 or 4 or 5 yet, so, you know, it's interesting to me what's going to happen in these next few episodes that we haven't seen in the trailer. We know Barclay goes underwater, but what else is going to happen? A big down I did have for this episode was General Pierce. Is it General Pierce or Colonel Pierce? The guy from Children of Earth. He felt quite underused. All he did really was go into the bit where the Homo aqua was hanging from the ceiling, and he sort of just went, "They call them sea devils, but we're better than that. So we'll call them Homo aqua, and I'm calling it Homo because that's what it looks like." First of all, just want to say that is a brilliant explanation for why they're called Homo aqua, and all the people moaning on Twitter, please just shut up. Alright, just be quiet. Literally, they were all like, Homo means human. This official definition is bloody stupid because Homo means human and the sea devils aren't humans. Yeah, the reason they're called Homo aqua is because this random guy went, "I'm calling them Homo aqua." And he said, "I'm calling them aqua because that's what they look like." He's not saying that this is official definition that needs to be put on government names. The actual government referred to them as aqua kind. I felt like Russell was just rage baiting us, and honestly, I could see him doing that, and I find it pretty funny. But General Pierce did bring one of my favourite moments of episode 1, which was him talking to Barclay and saying that, you know, you're in the wrong place, but, you know, that's how history's made, you know, one big coincidence, and, I like that. It's a good little message. I wrote it down. I was like, that's good. Use that for the review. And use that fraud it. Use it in real life as well. So now flashing forward towards the end of the episode, Salt comes out and they give her a gift of this plant and she breathes through, and apparently they can all breathe through Salt. It's really weird. I hope it gets explained a bit more and it's not just like a random MacGuffin or a Deus Ex Machina of like, oh, the fish can't be in the room with us. Well, let's make this thing that makes them be able to be in the room with us. You know what I mean? It's not really clever. So I hope it's not just a Deus Ex Machina and there is an explanation for it further down the line. And then Salt gives us a gift. I mean, it's not really a gift. I think she's doing it to make a point. She brings out her dead babies. Pretty dark for BBC One on a Sunday night. She brings out her dead babies. They're in like their eggs, basically. And it's quite dark. Imagine this the other way around. Like, imagine we just drop some dead fetuses in front of some fish and we're like, this is our dead kids because of you. It's quite dark if you think of it like that. Obviously to us they just look like weird eggs, but to Homo aqua and to, well, aqua kind, these are actual, you know, miscarriages, something like that. I don't really know what the official term is. A dead baby. It's not very nice, is it? And again, I'll touch on this more in episode 2. I think it works better in episode 2, but this show is being preachy without it feeling like they're trying to shove a message down your throat. You know, if you look at Praxis, which is funnily enough written by Pete McTighe, and Kablam, which is written by Pete McTighe, and Lucky Day, which is written by Pete McTighe, they all have messages at the end that feels like they're just shoving it down your throat. Now, as much as the Lucky Day one was justified, because, you know, we're talking about misogyny, and the Doctor gives Conrad a big telling off, it's just like Pete McTighe, every episode he writes has some sort of like speech at the end to sort of clarify the point of the episode. I don't know, it's a weird one, but I did love the more dark tone of Salt showing us her dead babies. I thought it was very dark. It was very, very dark, but I like it. Like I said, I wanted this to be like Children of Earth. I feel like a lot of people are making the comparison between this and Children of Earth. I'm not sure why. They're not very similar. The tone's similar, and that's something else I wanted to say that not let me down, but my expectations with this was going to be a lot darker than it actually is. This sort of feels like it could be a Doctor Who serialised thing. You know, obviously if the Doctor's not here, but if the Doctor was here, I could see this being Doctor Who. Torchwood Children of Earth wouldn't ever pass as Doctor Who. It's too dark, and I thought this would be a lot more like that. Again, I've only seen the first 2 episodes at the minute, so episodes 3, 4, and 5 might just get incredibly dark, and I'm eating my words here. But that's that. We'll see if that happens when that happens. For now, I'm a little bit. I don't want to say let down. I'm a little bit. Yeah, I suppose a little bit disappointed with the tone. I think that, and, people could argue that's my fault for getting my hopes up, but I also think the way they, in the first trailer for this, it was made out to be very serious. The second trailer got a little bit more of an edge off and showed a little bit more of humour when Barkley goes, me? But the first trailer was presented as a very dark show, and I'm a bit gutted that it's not as dark as I thought it would be yet. Like I say, there's still more to come, hopefully. We'll get some more of those dark moments. I will just say the reason for Salt picking Barkley to be the ambassador is a really, really good... it's clever. It's clever, but it's simple. For example, I always thought from the way the trailers were doing it of like, why have they picked Barkley? Why have Aquakind picked Barkley as the ambassador, the speaker? And I thought we'd get another thing similar to Clem in Children of Earth. If you haven't seen Children of Earth, this will make absolutely no sense to you whatsoever. But in Children of Earth, there's an episode called, there's a character called Clem, and he is the only other person who, shut up. He's the only other person who, alongside the children, speaks with the 456. Again, if you haven't seen it, it doesn't make any sense. And the whole time we're thinking, why is Clem, talking alongside the 456? And spoilers, it's because when he was a kid, he was talked to with the 456. And I thought we'd get something similar, like when Barkley was a kid, he, I don't know, saved a jellyfish from drying out on the beach or something, and that's why they picked him. But no, it was as simple as in that episode we saw him do the little peace thing to the fallen soldier of the Homo aqua. And it made sense that and the pearl thing was really clever. The fact they've got a pearl, which is I think it's a camera. I'm assuming it's a camera from what we've seen. Maybe it just does everything and we just saw the camera bit. But the pearl was a clever idea, and I think you wouldn't you? You'd want somebody, and again, this is touching more on episode 2, the fact that they pick somebody who voices humans, and it's great that Barkley gets the confidence in the end, for him to be like, no, I'm going to stand against this. I don't want to read off of your screen, I want to be my own person, and that's exactly what Homo Aqua wanted, or Aquakind wanted when they picked Barkley, and that's why they picked him. So, good. I will say the cliffhanger it was good. Just want to say both cliffhangers so far, and bear in mind there's only 4 cliffhangers. There's 5 episodes, but there's only 4 cliffhangers. So far we've had 2 of the 4 cliffhangers. We've had half of them, and half of them have been Barkley going, okay. In episode 1 it's like, Barkley, do you want to speak for your entire planet? Okay. Okay, Barkley, do you want to come with me down to the deep? Okay. I did see Ellie from Who Culture. She explained that there's character development in the way he says okay. In the first episode, he's like, okay, like nervous. And the second episode, he's like, okay, I'll come with you down to the deep. Sure, but Russell T Davies promised us monumental cliffhangers, and so far we've seen half of the cliffhangers of the entire series, and it's just been a bloke going, alright. Maybe if the plastic apocalypse was the cliffhanger, which I thought it would be, we would have had something better, but I'm not complaining too much. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on the War Between the Land and the Sea, episode 1, Homo Aqua. It's a good episode, it's a good opener. I thought maybe it could have slowed down a bit. I don't know why they don't just do hour-long episodes, why 45 minutes? You don't have to do 45 minutes, you can just do an hour. But the episode's pretty good. My rankings so far, episode 1, it does what it does for an introduction. I'd say 4.4 out of 5 is my ranking for Homo Aqua. And you'll join me now for the synopsis and review of episode 2, Plastic Apocalypse. We start with Unit, digging up loads of exposition on Barkley for a totally valid reason other than just telling the audience about his life. Then Barkley and Salt come face to face and I can already feel the sexual tension. Why? Then I have to cover my eyes for a few minutes because of this incredibly uncomfortable scene. We then see this group of people who are planning on ruining the plan to make peace with the sexy fish people. And Barkley's face then gets leaked by this woman. Budgie does a big impressive motivational speech in front of Salt. Our kids are so smart and we're so f***ing stupid. Today's the day. I put my in your fish. Oh God, sorry. And then there's another bloody meeting. Christ. And then your bag for life that you didn't recycle starts falling from the sky and killing people and that. Kirby almost gets murked, but then Super Dad saves the day. Then Salt invites Barkley into her cave. Stop it. No innuendos today, please. And roll credits. Okay, episode 2 opens with Kate basically wanting to know why Aquakind have picked Barkley. Out of all the people on the planet, Why is this random bloke who books taxis now all of a sudden being picked? Even though they know, I found it a bit odd that they were just, Salt literally goes, here's video evidence of why we're picking this guy, and then Kate's like, I want every text message, every backstory of this guy, I want to know why he's so important, and they've literally just gone, well, this is why, and then they've showed you, so I totally understand the motive behind that. Maybe they think there's something else going on, I suppose. But Kate is sort of, what's the word, like, interrogating Barkley, and she's sort of like, she's been very firm with him, and she ate, is that the... She ate, and Kate being the big dog of unit really does shine this episode, like with the gun as well. I've seen loads of people mention it when Barkley gets in the cab with Kate and he's like, don't shoot me, and she's like, oh, I forgot my gun, and then opens her blazer and she's like, oh no, I didn't, it's here. Obviously she's winding him up. Good writing. Pete McTighe, this is his first episode of the series. Russell and Pete wrote half each. I didn't realise this. I thought Russell just wrote the opener and then maybe the finale, and then Pete did the rest, but no, they actually wrote half each from what it says online. Russell wrote episode 1, Pete wrote episode 2 and 3, and then episode 4 is written by both Russell T Davies and Pete McTighe, and then Russell wrote the finale as well. Russell's way of going about finales at the minute is not great, so I'm hoping it doesn't fall flat like that, but we haven't seen a Pete McTighe finale, so it could be worse. But people are begging for Pete to be the showrunner, like, get him on the Doctor Who showrunner job. I don't know, he's written some decent stuff, he's written some crap as well, so no offence Pete, I still love you, you're great. I watched his interview on the writer's room as well, very good, very good. I'm not going to beat around the bush, dance around the bush, whatever the phrase is. I'm going to just jump straight to that scene that we all know and love, or hate, or makes us vomit. Kate and Colonel Ibrahim having their little talk and touch on the balcony. Or I suppose it's not actually a balcony, it's the inside of the flat, but it looks like a balcony, so I'm going to say it is. Kate and Ibrahim, they're in a relationship, we know they are, and I felt quite sad. I always found them quite cute. Together I was like, they're cute. Now I feel a bit grossed out, because people online are comparing it to seeing your teacher in that sort of vulnerable state. I mean, let's be real. When you're in a sexual way with a partner, that's like your ultimate vulnerable state, right? That's like you at your purest, right? And it's a side you don't see to Kate because she's always so important. But it's, you don't see it, and it's a side you don't see to someone like your teacher or your nan. You know what I mean? It's like seeing that, and it's a bit like, ugh, I don't really want to see my teacher getting touched by some bloke and being like, oh, I'll take your mind off things. It's a bit odd, isn't it? And like, I sort of miss finding them a cute couple. Like when he'd bring her coffee in unit. In actual Doctor Who, he'd bring her coffee. Or he'd stay, if she was staying there late working, he'd stay with her. That was cute. That was a cute couple. And I was like, I'm glad that, even though I was on the side of Kate's a lesbian, it's like, well, she's found this guy she's happy with, I'm not going to moan about it, and I'm glad she's happy. And it's nice because someone like Kate doesn't get a life outside of unit with a normal person, because she's not allowed to talk about her day. She's not allowed to come home and just unload her gob about all the stuff she's seen that day, because she's not allowed to talk about it. So having someone like Ibrahim be there to comfort her, who's also on the inside of unit, works very well. But yeah, I just miss viewing them as this cute couple, because now I see them as this weird on-screen romance. I see them as two actors now. And again, I'm not quoting, but I'm saying what Ellie said of Who Culture, that Kate didn't seem too into it. Kate was just sort of there, and he was just sort of like kissing her neck, and she sort of just sat there like, just sort of not really vibing with it. She's definitely just thinking about work and looking into the distance outside. It just seems a bit like, it feels a bit like Torchwood of the, we're a grown-up show, guys. We're a grown-up show, so we're going to have people kissing and doing more inappropriate things every episode, and we're going to have swearing. It just feels like, that's not how real people act. I mean, it is how real people act, but it doesn't... There's got to be a reason we're learning about these guys, right? And it makes me think, is Colonel Sexy, as we call him, or Colonel Ibrahim, is he going to get killed off? Because why else would we be learning about this relationship other than they just assume we care because we like Doctor Who? You know what I mean? Everything happens for a reason in a TV show. And this is what I've learned recently when I started writing TV shows. I didn't realise this. Every line of dialogue, every shot, Every scene is important. You don't just have a filler scene. You can have a filler scene, but it's still important. There's got to be an important reason why we're learning about these guys. It can't just be Pete going, it's Kate, guys, you like Kate, so watch it. Alright, there better be a reason. I'm hoping. Also, did the writers just forget that Kate's got 2 kids already? Like, we know so little about Kate apart from the fact that the Brigadier was her dad. Kate's got 3 kids. Cool, that's fine. I don't hate that. I think that's alright. But tell me what happened with the dad of those kids. Where are the kids now? And is Ibrahim not a bit weird coming in to this house where there's 2 kids living, or do the kids not live with her anymore? There's so many tick boxes that need to be, not tick boxes, I suppose questions that need to be answered that could so easily be done just by ticking a box and just saying, oh, you can stay around tonight, my kids are away, or something like that. Like, just something like that to just give us some sort of answer. Or when she's like, or when that scene happened, Kate could have been like, oh, my last husband, he was a horrible, horrible man, and I'm so glad I got rid of him now and I've got you. And that could explain well, that's where the kid's dad went. You know, just something so easy and throwaway that could just be done like that, I think would be the better option than just forcing this on-screen romance between 2 characters that we're supposed to care about. But the only reason we care about them is because they're building it to be something more, but they're building it to be something more because we care about them. It's an endless loop. It's a bootstrap paradox. You know, the only reason we care about these characters is because they're telling us to care, but the only reason they're telling us to care is because we care. You see what I mean? It doesn't work. So, yeah, I don't think it's bad though. And apparently Shirley's a Mrs. now. Has Shirley always been a Mrs.? I mean, I suppose we've never actually heard her be labelled as Miss or Mrs. or... But, I mean, that's quite sad if she was, because that means in Wish World, her partners just forgot her, which is horrifying. How did 14 know Shirley as well? Can you comment this below if you know the answer? In the Star Beast, the 14th Doctor sort of sits, doesn't he, where the alien crash happened. And Shirley comes wheeling out. And she's just sort of... She's there, and he's like, oh, here comes trouble. But I swear he's never met Shirley before, so how does he know who she is? Don't know. For some reason, Kate wants to keep the identity of Barclay a secret. I'm not too sure why. I think it's probably just to stop like an attack on Barclay and his family. But somebody leaks it. There's is she a French woman or something? She's like on the sideline and she leaks a picture of Barclay, and there's something going on there with her and her little gang. I didn't quite hear it. I haven't actually rewatched the second episode yet, but I did watch it when it aired. But I was with my family and I think they started talking at this bit, and I was trying to make out what was going on. There's a secret group of people on the inside of UNIT who are, I think, planning to rebel against the Sea Devils. I think that needs to happen soon, because this episode, the Plastic Apocalypse, felt a bit stale at points. It just felt like some points were really, really good, and we'll get to those, but some of it was a bit like, you know, we didn't get much about why these people are doing what they want to do, or what. It just sort of seems like, oh, these guys are evil. They're evil guys, and that's it. That's all we get, so I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I'm doing a lot of moaning this episode. I did enjoy it, and I think the highlight for me was, and this is actually weirdly something people don't like, is the water scene, where... the water scene in The War Between the Land and the Sea. But which one? The glass of water when they're back in, is it Empress House or Thames House? Which is actually the Children of Earth place, weirdly. Is it the same room? It's not the same room. Something tells me it's the same room. I feel like the Children of Earth one was on the top floor though. This is the bottom floor. I don't know. Anyway, enough waffle about Children of Earth. I love Torchwood. This was brilliant. Where was I? Yes. Okay. So they're in Thames House or Empress House, and Salt says to the people, "Go and get a glass of water." And they go and get a glass of water from the Thames. Obviously, she says river water. They don't just go to the Thames. They get river water. Actually, I do have a little downside here. They go and get the river water, and it's all brown and grim, and they go, Barclay, drink it, and he goes, I don't want to drink it because it's bloody disgusting. And they go, yeah, exactly, this is what you've done to our water. You've made it grim. This does work as a good first impression for the Sea Devils, I think. Maybe I'd enjoy it more if I didn't, because I love the Sea Devils. It's my favourite classic serial. I mean, it's there. It's in, where is it? That way. There it is there, Sea Devils. It's my favourite classic story of Doctor Who. And so maybe that's why I'm being a bit more critical of this. I did watch the redux of the original version, which you can watch my review of on the channel from a couple of months ago now, probably. Well, about a month ago, about a week ago. They go and get the water, and yeah, and it explains, you know, and this is what I mean about what I said in the last episode, was how it's preachy, but not preachy. It is preachy, but it's done in a way that's acceptable. to be preachy, you'd be fuming if your waters were polluted by the other species that you share the planet with. You'd be fuming. You'd be like, what were you doing? What were you doing for? My one downside to this, the water in the river, the glass, is brown and grim and disgusting, and it's coming from the River Thames. Do you know what else is coming from the River Thames? That massive tank that we're looking at all the homo aqua and other aqua kind in. And that's crystal clear water. Now, headcanon can just be, it's filtered. The tank water's filtered, sure. But that's never explained to us. There's water coming from the tank. There's water coming from the Thames up the tube into the tank. Crystal clear. No explanation. Then they like to make a point, go to the river and get a glass of water. They get it and it's brown. So it doesn't make any sense. They need to explain to us, if the case is that the water is filtered, they need to make a case of saying, right, they could just say something, throwaway line, filtration on. When they're setting up the thing and they press the go button to fill the water in. Right, filtration on. That's all they need to do. They just need to say something like that, because the water is crystal clear. And then to make a point, they make a whole point about how they don't have crystal clear water whilst swimming in crystal clear water. So, I don't know. I'm coming across really negative, aren't I? I don't mean to do that. I really am enjoying this series. And like I say, I've only seen the first 2 episodes. You're seeing this video when episode 5 is released, the whole serial's done. I've literally only seen the first 2 episodes. I'm reviewing this as it goes along. Let's talk about Salt turning into a male. This interested me, and I think I'm going to be negative again. I hate being negative. I did enjoy it. Right, okay, let me be positive first. I enjoyed it because a lot of aquatic animals can switch sexes in different moods, and cool. The only issue I have with it does sort of do a bit of disjustice to women. No? I don't mind anyone who sees this. I'm Salt. Barkley, come and save me. Barkley, we need to work together to... No, stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking! I'm a man now, because I got angry. See what I mean? That's just how I feel. You know, she was very feminine, a bit of a male gaze, I suppose you could argue. Salt. And then all of a sudden when she gets angry, she's a man. So... And I'm not saying this is a disjustice to men. I'm not saying, men are these angry creatures, that's what we're portrayed as. I'm saying, well, a woman can be angry. Show her being angry. That's what I'd rather have got her being angry than turning into a man. You know what I mean? But I did like it. I did like the scene. I did. I'm coming across very, very angry. Not angry, but very, very negative, and I don't mean to be doing this. I'm just giving my thoughts. Just know I love the episodes, okay? I did think this episode was weaker than the first one, but it's not bad. And then the big monumental ending was the pollution. They're sort of saying, well, I didn't get the whole... I'll be negative again. I didn't get the whole, you can't fly. Salt's being like, air travel off limits, because the sky is the sea. What are you talking about? The sky isn't the sea. I don't want you to you're chatting waffle now. You're chatting absolute waffle. But they basically sort of bounded everyone to the ground and to the land. Sort of like, well, we're the sea, you're the land, so you stay on the land. You don't cross our seas. Because they're refusing to do pollution cleanup sooner than 40 years' time. But if they physically cannot do it any quicker, what do you want them to do, Salt? And Salt's not happy, so she dumps all of the pollution, including like sunken ships, everything that came from us that's in the ocean, sent right back at us. And I did like the scene because it got dark, right? Kirby, who is Barclay's child, I haven't actually touched on them at all. Barclay's got a non-binary child called Kirby, and a wife who I think is diabetic, or an ex-wife, sorry, who's diabetic, I think. And they're cool characters. There's not a lot that's been spoken about them apart from the fact that they all still get on very well, apart from the fact that it's his ex-wife. They still have a good bond. Maybe it's just for Kirby, but who knows. And Kirby, and I've really forgotten Kirby's mum's name, but they're in the cab driving to, I'm not actually sure, I've forgotten where they're driving to, but they're in a cab, and the cab driver basically just gets killed by this thing that fell through the windscreen. That was dark. I mentioned last episode about how when Salt's like, these are my dead children. This was very similar. We've seen a guy actually get killed and a dead body just sat there. We did see that in episode 1 as well, the hand in the ground, but we didn't properly get a look. This was like, there's an actual dead guy in the front seat of the car, like, whoa. It took me aback, and I was like, whoa, that's dark for Doctor Who universe. But I did like it, and like I say, I want this to be very much like Children of Earth, and that felt Children of Earthy. And then Kirby goes out running. I mean, it's very stupid. You'd stay in the car, wouldn't you? Or you'd park up next to a building and then get out. The world, they all turned really stupid at that point. I'm not sure why. I think it's because they needed a good thing for the trailers. The big anchor that Barclay saves Kirby from getting hit by, that was tense. I was watching this with my mum and dad. I told them, let's watch this. This will be good. I know it'll be good. And they thought that Kirby's mum was going to die in the scene with the apocalypse, the plastic apocalypse. Didn't, but I think I can sense a death from Kirby's mum and Barclay's ex-wife. I can see that happening. Or maybe Colonel Ibrahim. But the only thing I think about Colonel Ibrahim not getting killed is because this was set before season 2, I'm pretty sure. The Doctor references are odd. There's a lot of Doctor references in this episode and in the first episode. It just feels like you could just not have them there. They're not needed. You don't need to have them there, Kate. Kate was badass though when they were dropping plastic. She ran and she was like, "You have to stop." We saw it in the trailers. Cool. Again, it didn't feel dark enough. That I can't describe it. When I first saw that trailer for the first trailer of The War Between the Land and the Sea, I thought this is going to be dark TV drama like Children of Earth, and it didn't quite live up to that. And that's the main reason why I feel a little bit deflated by it. But like I said, I've only seen the first 2 episodes. We'll have to wait and see for the 3rd and 4th and 5th, which you've already seen. Lucky you. I haven't seen it. Monumental cliffhangers. They're just another... Okay. So I'll leave you on a monumental cliffhanger here. Shall we dive into episode 3's synopsis and review? Okay. We start with Budgie training for his super insane mission, and then we meet this knobhead who's called Ted. Then Budgie stubs his toe. The BBC accidentally stuck some footage from the film Armageddon here, I'm not sure what that's about. And then they're in the tank, and they're still in the tank. Then we have a meeting where Kate starts eating everyone up, sister, and we cut back, and they're still in that bloody tank. Right, let me just skip 10 minutes ahead. Oh no, they're still in the tank. We're 2/3 of the way into this episode, and they're still in that bloody tank. They then arrive at the ocean bed, and Barclay and Salt look at each other like they really want to smash. Kate and Ibrahim have some moments together just to prep for what's to come later, and Salt and Barclay are about to go in for a big smooch. But then that knobhead Ted is trying to blow up the sea devil homo aqua for sexy fish people, so Barclay saves them. But that bomb goes off anyway. Meanwhile, Kate's in her flat and she's about to get shot, but Colonel What's-His-Name takes the bullet for her instead. And I'm taking the mick, but this is an excellent cliffhanger. And then we go to black, and then we roll the credits. What has this series become? When the first 2 episodes of The War Between the Land and the Sea aired, I felt a little bit disappointed because I had an idea in my head of what the series was going to be like, and it completely wasn't that. It was a switch, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And that led me to feel a little bit underwhelmed by it, but I still enjoyed the first 2 episodes. Last night, I sat and watched episode 3 and 4 when they aired on BBC iPlayer, and I must admit, I wasn't that impressed. But then I came to Twitter, and I'm the one who's on my own. Everybody loved it. Good for you. I'm glad you liked it, but I didn't. And I think part of the reason for this was because, like I say, I had an idea in my head of how it was going to run, and it didn't run like that. Because I love Children of Earth, and I love the idea of having a 5-part serialized spin-off. I love that idea. I love spin-offs. I think they're great, and I love the Sea Devils, but this just felt wrong. And I've seen Torchwood. There's a lot of sex in Torchwood. There's a literal sex monster in episode 2 of Torchwood, but this felt like it was overstepping that. I'll go through the episode and label off things that I liked and stuff I didn't like. I did like at the beginning of episode 3, we got to see Barclay training for the deep dive into the ocean to see the Sea Devil lair. I thought that was very cool. I thought maybe in the next scene when Barclay's kid Kirby, they seem to be a bit agitated, and it seemed a bit over the top, a bit OTT, and a bit like it was unrealistic. I sort of broke my connection to the world that this is based on. Sort of broke at that moment because I sort of viewed them as an actor rather than a character, because I don't think anybody would act that way. Maybe I think they would have the thoughts that Kirby had, but I think maybe Pete McTighe didn't properly write it in a way that felt realistic, especially to me. And everyone gets in the this little shuttle to get dropped down to the Sea Devil lair, and I did like this scene because it gives you a lot of backstory on the characters. The pacing was very slow. I got immediate bad vibes from Ted, who was the guy who had the bomb, and I watched it with my mum and dad, and my mum turned to me and went like, "That's a bomb," as soon as he pulled out that globe thing. And I did get immediate bad vibes from him, and I knew, okay, well maybe this is going to be some sort of bomb, and he's going to sabotage the sea, and then there's going to be a big war, which there still is yet to be a massive war, and we're on the final episode. So, But no, I did like the scene where everybody spoke about their lives. I do think it could have been paced up a bit. I did actually say yesterday on Twitter, I felt this series would have been better if it was 4 parts instead of 5, and they were all an hour, or like 75 minutes or something. I think that could have benefited us more, because then we could have merged these 2 episodes together, episodes 3 and 4, we could have merged them together, and we could have cut down, because I feel like that scene was there, yeah, it was there to build characters, but it was also there to fill the runtime of 45 minutes, whereas if we knew there was more happening, you could have chopped that down, probably halved it, and I would have been more happy, and we could have still had more going on. And yeah, I feel like it would have been better to merge these 2 episodes together and do a 4-parter. Obviously I haven't seen the finale yet. The finale could be really rushed, and then we'd need more time to focus on it, like it has been the case with Doctor Who over the past few years. But I think off of what I've seen so far, a 4-parter would have worked better. Kate went to one of the meetings with is it the corporation, or the I've forgotten what they're called, apologies, correct me in the comments. But Kate went to one of the meetings, and she ate. Do people still say ate? Is that one of the things that the kids say these days? She ate it up, sister. She, they were all saying how they wanted to declare war. You know, if Homo Aqua want a war between the land and the sea, we'll pick the sea. Yeah, I think they were obviously wanting to launch an attack on Aqua kind, which they actually did in episode 4 with the AI or deepfake version of Salt, which I thought was a very cool and interesting thing to implement into the episode, but I'll get to that tomorrow for my episode 4 review. And I feel like that meeting with Kate felt like it was trying to be Children of Earth. You know, in Children of Earth, I think it's episode 3 or 4, is literally the entire time just a government meeting. That was done really well. This was done well too. Obviously it wasn't a full episode. When I was watching it, there's something about the gritty vibe of 2009 Torchwood with Children of Earth, and I do think it's to do with the overexposure of lights. Now I can't talk, I'm in a room that's completely overexposed with lights, but I'm not making television, I'm making a review, so it's good for me to be well lit all the time. But when you're making television, you need to make the lighting and the vibe of what we're watching fit what's happening on the screen. And in recent times, especially with Doctor Who in recent times, because of the Disney deal, and Disney have certain ways of doing things, everything is so well lit all the time that it just feels like you're watching a stage play, or you're watching like a short film made by kids. You know what I mean? I wish they captured the gritty vibe of that meeting more, because all the lights were on, and everyone's face was lit up. So when they were talking about all these serious things, it didn't feel like it properly fit. You know what I mean? It felt like, I'll tell you exactly what it felt like. Children of Earth's office meeting for the government felt like the In-Betweeners. Okay, it felt like the In-Betweeners or This Country, right? 2 great BBC sitcoms set in England. Then you've got, the In-Betweeners is Channel 4, but who cares? That's what that Children of Earth office scene was like. Then you cut to the War Betweens office scene, and it felt like when America tried to do the In-Betweeners, and America tried to do This Country, and it just did not translate, and it didn't look good, and it didn't feel right. Something felt off, and it felt like they were just trying to do Children of Earth again. It's very clear to me that this took inspiration from Children of Earth. The fact they used the same building is a big part of it, and I think, we'll get to the big death in a bit, but that felt very, Yanto. So it felt like they were just trying to do Children of Earth, but not as good. It didn't translate as well, but it wasn't terrible. I did enjoy it. Kate and Ibrahim have some really good chemistry this episode. It definitely redeems itself from last week's weird sexy scene, which was a bit but this time, you get to see Colonel Ibrahim, off giving her advice to go home. You're overtired. You've slept 6 hours in 3 days. You need to sleep, Kate. Go home. Go and rest. That's what I like from him. I'd rather see him give her, he's there for her. And, if he can give her words of advice like, go home, you're too tired, or here's a coffee, here's da-da-da, I'm here for you, Kate, I love you, Kate, fine. all the kissy was weird. It was weird. I didn't like it. I've changed my mind completely from last week. I thought it was grim. This episode completely redeemed them, and I was really starting to get a sense of their relationship, and I wanted more from it. And then Barclay and the team, you know, General Pierce and Ted and all those guys, they arrive at the bottom of the seabed where Salt greets them, and it's Aquakind's big base, which I did think was a hint to the, what's it called? The Mara? No, not the Mara, the Macra either. Micra, that's it, the Micra, that's what I'm thinking of. I thought maybe the Micra would be involved, and they were inside the Micra. They weren't, unfortunately. Well, maybe fortunately, considering the last time the Micra came up, the show got cancelled. And from what I've seen on Twitter, if it's true, this underwater base was actually the Bone Palace from Wishworld and the Reality War, just repainted to look like Under the Sea. And I thought it looked very good. I did. I liked it. I thought this series has looked very good. That's something I can't floor it on. It looks good. There's sometimes, like I say, with the whole office scene earlier, where it could match, the looks of it could match the vibe of what's being spoken more. But it doesn't look bad. It just doesn't. I'd prefer to have a dimly lit office scene when they're talking about dark stuff to fit the vibe rather than a perfectly lit office. But that doesn't say the perfectly lit office just looks bad. I think it looks good. I just think it would be better to match the scene with the lighting. That's personally what I think. We saw OG Sea Devils, which I'm a big fan of. As you know, I love the Sea Devils. I have done since I was a kid. And I think it was cool to see the OG Sea Devils design. I was personally on the side of the new Sea Devil design is bad. I prefer the old ones. Since this has come out, I will admit, the new ones do look better. They look more horrifying and they look darker. That's something else I mentioned my last two reviews. This episode, or this series as a whole, hasn't felt as dark as I hoped it would be. That's part of the reason why I felt a bit disappointed with it, because it's not felt as dark and gritty as I hoped it would be. And part of that, I suppose, is up to me, making my mind up on the fact this is going to be a dark series, and it wasn't. But that first trailer they released, you've got to admit, it looks a lot darker than it actually turned out to be. Maybe it's just me. We then see Salt and Barclay's relationship start to take a bit more of a raunchy approach when, you know, can I touch your face and stuff like that. And, like, I did say to my family, like, you know, maybe it's not a sexual thing, and maybe he just does want to feel what her face feels like. Because I'm not going to lie, the first time I saw Salt, I thought, I want to know what, you know, is it fish skin? Is it human skin? Is it neither? Is it something else? So I would have done that, but then it's very clear, you know, from jokes made later on, that Barclay wanted to touch Salt. He didn't just want to touch the face of a fish woman to see what it felt like. He wanted to touch Salt. It's a weird TV show. It's so weird, honestly. I feel weird talking about it. And I've seen all of Torchwood, and I've spoken about a lot of Torchwood. I think they could have done Salt and Barclay a lot better. I was never opposed, you know, in the first episode. I watched this with my parents, and they were saying something like, oh, I think there's a romance building between these two characters. And I said, yeah, I bet there probably is. I bet my bottom dollar that there is. But they were against it. I was a bit for it. I was like, I'm interested to see how they do this, and I had an idea in my head of how they'd do this romance in a way that felt real and felt like we'd do it if we were in the same position. Only issue is they haven't done that for me. They haven't lived up to a good enough reason why Barclay would want to go with Salt. Do you know what I mean? Is that just a me problem? I feel like a lot of people are liking it online. I'm not against the relationship. I just think there's better ways to make them come together. Have them come together for a reason rather than just physical attraction. I think if there'd have been a plot reason why they needed to be, or like if there was a thing where it's like, right, both ambassadors need to go into a room on their own and talk it out, and in there we then learn, you know, the tension gets raised through there and the romantic chemistry builds through there, would have worked a lot better than just, you know, I fancy you, you're sexy fish lady, come here, give me a kiss. You know what I mean? That to me doesn't satisfy what I wanted from this show. And then obviously Ted's bomb goes off. He's like offers them a gift, which is weird. You wouldn't offer, surely they should have seen this as a red flag. You wouldn't offer the Sea Devils a gift after they've just flooded your entire planet with pollution. You know, you wouldn't offer them a gift. But maybe they thought it was a peace treaty thing, I suppose. But actually the globe turns out to be a bomb. And Barclay, being the hero, knocks Ted to the ground. The bomb flies off into Sea Devil lair and it explodes. And you think that's the cliffhanger. But what actually happens is we cut to Kate's flat. And we see Kate and Colonel Ibrahim, and they're having a chat. And Ibrahim is saying, you know, you're always switched on to be Commander-in-Chief of unit. You're never just with me. When can I just have a chat with Kate? I don't want to have a chat with the Commander-in-Chief of the Unified Intelligence Task Force. I want to have a chat with Kate. And Kate sort of brushes it off and is like, oh, maybe one day, but this is important. I need to focus on this. And then Kate stood at the window. Boom. We see it, the red dot appear on her head, and I thought, oh, this is where the cliffhanger is going to be, and then the result of the cliffhanger is going to be classic Doctor Who, where she gets budged out of the way and they both survive. But no, we go a step further. It takes it full Yanto, and Colonel Ibrahim grabs Kate, pushes her out of the way, and he gets shot instead. And oh my god, this was a tense scene. I was watching it on the edge of my seat, and they purposely leave it at a point where we're not sure who's been shot, or at least I wasn't, and neither was my family. We were watching it and we didn't know if Kate had been shot, or if Ibrahim had been shot, or if he tried to stop her but it didn't work in time. It was tense, man. It was very, very tense. But again, it did definitely feel like they were trying to recreate a Yanto situation. And it wasn't as heartfelt as Yanto's death, but also for episode 3, we didn't get a full roundup of it yet. So I'm going to talk more of that on my next review. But for now, that's been my review of The War Between the Land and the Sea, episode 3, which is called The Deep. The pacing was off, characters could have been more throwaway, there could have been less characters going down there. Ted's character I thought was done really well, Kate's character I thought was done really well, and I started to care about Colonel Ibrahim and Kate's relationship. Obviously now, that's irrelevant. But for now, I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to rank this episode a good... This is probably is it the weakest? On paper, it's the weakest. The least happens, but the cliffhanger is so good. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. That's my ranking for this episode. So it's not bad. It's not blown me away, but it's good. The cliffhanger was incredible, and I now take back my statement I said last time where I said Russ was like, monumental cliffhangers, and there was none. It was just Barclay going, okay. This time, it lived up for it. I liked it. 4 out of 5. Let me know your rankings for this episode and stuff that you think I've missed out on talking about, or that you liked or disliked. Leave them in the comments and let me know, and I'll be back tomorrow for another episode of The War Between the Land and the Sea. We open with the sea people getting murked, and then they kill the person who killed Colonel What's-His-Name, and Kate looks really angry. Alonso then starts crying because he realises he's fallen in love with a fish, and this random anti-fish corporation we're meant to care about starts giving all the "we must be at war with the land and the sea." Barclay's love drives him so crazy that he releases Salt back into the ocean, making the deadlocked box just randomly open. Makes total sense. And then he dives in because he's coming for that fish ussy. God, sorry. We then meet Tide, who is a male version of Salt, and he's basically like, I'm Tim Shaw, and you better give me Salt back so I can kill her, because she saved a human and not any fish people. Barclay and Salt then go into hiding, just like in Torchwood Children of Earth, and after a little boner joke, we cut straight from Kate grieving in her car to a post-sex scene with a fish and a man. What am I watching? They then rob this guy's phone, which makes no sense because obviously the government are going to track them. And they do just that, getting cornered on a bridge. And Salt then stubs her toe. She dives into the water and we get the worst piece of dialogue I've ever heard.
You'll never swim alone! You'll never swim alone! You will never swim alone!
This is where the show goes downhill. Now, if you are new to this series and you haven't seen my review on the previous episodes, just a quick TLDR. I had a good idea of what this series was going to be like before I came into it, and this is not what I thought it was going to be at all, so I'm a bit let down by that. The storytelling is good, the character work is very good, some pacing bits are a bit off, but it's Pete McTighe and it is a 5-part serialised story, so it's different to what I'm used to. But overall, I think it's pretty good. This episode, I wasn't a fan of. I haven't got around to rewatching it yet. I am filming this the morning after it aired, and I sat with my thoughts last night, and last time I rewatched it before I made my review, but this time I'm not going to do that, just because I want to get it filmed and edited in time to go out, but you know, boring stuff. I will rewatch it, and if my opinions change, I might do another video talking about it, but I think I'm very, not stubborn, but I think my point of this is going to be quite stubborn and it's not going to change because this is just how I feel. So I'm going to just go through the episode chronologically and the bits I liked and the bits that I didn't like. So Salt saving Barclay from the big explosion under the water. I almost said Sarkley then. That's their ship name. Sarkley or Bolt. They were obviously in the aqua lair when Ted's bomb went off at the end of the last episode. And Ted's bomb went off and... you know, it just seems very cliche to be like, well, how can the fish lady save the human? Let's make them kiss. That's it. They can kiss, because then the romance builds. Like I said last time, it would have been much more effective to me if they'd have found a way to integrate the plot with their romance, rather than just, sexy fish lady, give me those lips. You know what I mean? That to me isn't satisfying enough. So just to have them kiss as a way for them to survive. I get why they did it as the writers, as sort of an easy cop-out, but from a storytelling perspective, they could have done something better, something more clever, maybe, like showing off the Sea Devil powers. Apparently, the Sea Devils are magic. They can make it rain pollution somehow. Who knows? I think it was a cheap shot. It was a cheap shot, but it wasn't terrible. Obviously, we then cut back to Kate's flat, and Colonel Ibrahim is dead. He's dead and buried on the floor, bleeding out from his chest. And I do like, again, very Tortured Children of Earth, right, Yanto, but not just that, it's very Tortured Children of Earth, spoilers for Tortured Children of Earth if you haven't seen it. In episode 2, well, the cliffhanger for episode 1 is a terrorist attack in Cardiff Bay, where there's a big bomb that blows up on Roald Dahl Plus, and Gwen, who's one of our main characters of Torchwood, obviously has just had a bomb blow up next to her, so her ears are all, like, ringing, and we cut between... If we see like an establisher shot of the bay, we see Gwen, there's music, we hear it from our perspective, but if we see from Gwen's eyes, we hear like a high-pitched ringing and like blurred vision, and we had that very much with Kate, when she was calling up, she was like, immediate assistant, red alert, there's been a man down, we see like blurry vision, we hear like faint, like a faint voice that's being, you know, I think it's a representation of Kate's thoughts overrunning her voice, you know, where her voice is quiet and there's sort of like a silence that's louder than her voice. Very cool stuff. From a cinematography perspective, I really liked that a lot, even though this very much does feel like it's a Yanto situation all over again. I will say I called the deepfake Salt straight away. I don't know if that was meant to be a big reveal for us. I think we as the audience were meant to know, but the characters obviously didn't. But the deepfake Salt was very obvious. If that was meant to be a case of we don't know, we figure out with the people on there. No, we knew. We knew it was a deepfake Salt. But it was a cool idea from the corporation, I think they're called. Again, I should have researched what they were called, I forgot. But that group of people who are against Aquakind and don't want to work with them and want to kill them. The guy Ted worked, the group that Ted worked for, created a deepfake of Salt being like, we've blown up and killed your humans and we're coming for you next, and stuff like that was very cool. Russell Tovey's performance when he realises everybody's dead and he's on the phone call with Shirley and Kate, you know, he really, really sells his role here. His eyes are like bloodshot, the tears are streaming down, his face is like it's all crumbling apart because he realises that people are dead. They killed off Austin Pierce. What? He's been around since 2009 and they killed him off in a stupid Sea Devil spin-off. But no, it was sad when he realised everyone died, and it was sad that he realised, you know, most of all when Salt we see Salt locked up in a box, you know, we feel his emotions because we know she's innocent, but obviously they don't think she is. They think that she did the explosion. I do think it takes a while for them to confirm deepfake, even though Barclay's there saying Salt saved my life and it was Ted who blew them up. They still spend the rest of the episode trying to figure out, you know, if it was a deepfake or not, when if Barclay was there and he's telling you this, surely it's real, you'd believe him, wouldn't you? But then we get a scene which is quite cool where they take Salt they're aiming to take Salt to Unit Tower. They for some reason stop on some like bed of, I think it's Cardiff, but they say it's London. And I thought it was cool how, you know, the Barclay's old mate from his old job is there, and like, well, you know, they're gonna take her, she's gonna be sushi later. And then that gives him the idea to free Salt back into the ocean. I do have a nitpick about this. I like the fact that he reversed the truck into the ocean and the box fell off and then she came out. How did the door open? I might have missed something. But to me, you know, that door is deadlocked shut. Just because it hits the water doesn't mean that the door opens. Unless there was a throwaway line that I missed, let me know in the comments. I'm confused on how Salt escaped. You know, maybe I missed something. I'm willing to admit I missed something if I did. If I didn't, that doesn't make any sense how that door opened at all. And at this point, I was still rooting for their relationship a bit. I was thinking, you know what, there's time to develop this. Maybe there's a backstory on why she likes him and why he likes her. So I was rooting for them at this point. I got a bit let down later on, though. Now, something I mentioned last episode, which I think, or not last episode, in episode 1 or 2, they should have touched on Kate's kids earlier. They do mention Kate's daughter, who's on holiday in Spain or Australia. I really don't remember, I apologise. They do touch on Kate's daughter, which was very cool. You've got to make us care about these characters more, and family is a great way to do that. So good. Check from me. We also get a mention from Morris, who, if you don't remember, Morris was in the season 1 2-part finale with Ncuti Gatwa, which was Empire of Death, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. He was the guy on the Swegway who I think was standing in for Shirley while she was getting married or something. I'm not too sure. And it was cool how Shirley admits to Kate that everybody knew about her and Ibrahim. You know, she thought it was a secret, and it was a secret, but everybody knew. Something could be a secret and not be told, but people can still know it. And I think that was a good way of showing that. And it showed that everyone was happy for her. Because people are saying Ibrahim had no character. I didn't care about Colonel Ibrahim, but the point of Colonel Ibrahim, the character he was Kate's happy person. And that to me is enough. I think a lot of people felt like they wanted more from him. But sometimes a character doesn't need to be their own thing. Sometimes a character can just be an emotion for another already established character. We saw that Colonel Ibrahim made Kate happy. That doesn't mean we need to learn loads about him. I think that would become too much of a babble session. You know, we learnt bits about him, like his dad, how he is a very wise man, and how, you know, he wants to meet Kate. But just because we didn't learn about Colonel Ibrahim doesn't mean he's a nothing character. We know that he means a lot to Kate, and to me, that's enough. That's all that matters. That's enough. I don't care about him and his backstory. All I care about is that he aids Kate in a good way that she needs, and that is good. They then meet Tide, who is like a male version of Salt's kind, and he explains that Salt saved a human from the wreck, and not any other aqua kind. She saved a human. So the Tide, who's the big fish guy, says, "Unit, you will find Salt and Barkley, you will return Salt to me, and we will kill Salt." This is very Boomtown. If you've not seen Boomtown from Series 1 of Doctor Who, Margaret the Slovene has broken some rules. I actually forgotten what the rules are, but she's broken some rules from her home planet, Raxacoricophalopatorius, and the Doctor basically says, "Well, I'm taking you back to Raxacoricophalopatorius before you kill any more humans on Earth." And she says, "Well, Doctor, if you take me there, you're taking me to my death." And he says, "Well, it's not my problem, you broke the rules." And she's like, "But you could not take me and I'd survive, so you're taking me to my death." And this is very similar, because Kate goes, "Well, if we know that you're going to kill Salt, we cannot give her to you." And Tide's like, "Okay, well then we're going to turn all of the rust in the world into dust." And that is a really cool idea. One thing I'm annoyed about, I know it's science fiction, I know it's not meant to make logical sense, but how are they doing this? There's a lot of telling and not showing in this series. How are they possibly able to turn rust into dust, and why have they not done it sooner? We've been polluting the world for ages. There should have been reasons for this. How can they make it rain plastic from the sky? How? I want to know how. I want to see how. Even if it's just a sea devil tapping away on a fish screen, I want to see how they are doing it. Because they aren't magic, and if they are, show us. I don't care if they're magic or not, they can be magic. Show us. I don't want to just make my own mind up about how these sea devils are doing this. I want to see it happen. I don't want to be told. I don't just want to be told they're magic. Show me that they're magic. Show me how they do it, and then I'll be on board. Salt and Barkley doing it was very uncomfortable to watch, especially with my parents. Again, I don't know why I find this so uncomfortable when I've watched TV shows like Torchwood, which literally has a sex alien in its second episode. This felt worse. This felt like it was trying to be serious. Torchwood was almost a joke. You know what I mean? Torchwood had humour. This is trying to be serious, and that's why I find it cringier. For example, I make a lot of 69 jokes and 6'7" jokes. I don't actually find that funny. I'm using the irony of the people who find it funny, projecting it onto myself, and that's the joke. The joke is that I'm laughing at the demographic of people who find that funny. This is very similar in the sense that there's comedy there, but it's trying to take itself too seriously. That something like Torchwood, when there's a sex monster, it's blatantly comedic, and it's there, and it's ironic. This is trying to be serious, and that's why I'm not vibing with it as much as I thought it would be. As much as I thought I would. And I think the best way to develop this relationship is make it a love story, not a lust story, because all we've had so far is, "Sexy fish lady, let me touch your face. Run away with me, sexy fish lady undercovers." Like, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch two characters fall in love, and reasons for them to be in love, and reasons why their differences don't matter, because they can still be in love, like Romeo and Juliet. That would work really well. We're just getting a lust story of a man who fancies a fish. It's silly. To me, this is silly. I want to have a deeper connection to these characters, and I want there to be reasons why they love each other that isn't just they want to get some. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a big waste of what could be a great story, and that's what in my head this was going to be. It was going to be more of a love story, Romeo and Juliet type thing, rather than just like, I'm going to bonk a fish woman. Weird. It's weird. The bit where Barkley and Salt are on the run, they rob that man, that was quite cool. Again, just very tortured Children of Earth when they nick laptops and stuff, but fine, like, whatever. It was very obvious they're taking from this. It's not as good as Children of Earth, they don't do it as well. And the bit where Barkley calls Kirby, who's his child, and his ex-wife, not his child and his ex-wife, he calls his child, slash his ex, no, hang on, he calls his child, full stop. He then calls his ex-wife, okay, they're not the same person, that'd be weird. But he, that was, again, very Children of Earth, when Yanto rings up, or he sends a letter to his sister saying, you know, meet me at where Dad broke my leg, I need to borrow the car keys, and something like that. Very similar. Obviously this was a trap, and that leads us to the bridge, which was the cliffhanger, which I had a better idea for. Like I say, if you go back and watch my trailer breakdown for when the first trailer for The War Between came out, I saw this scene and I thought, I've cracked it. I know what they're going to do with this scene, and I had an idea in my head of how they were going to do it in a good way. And when I planned it out in my head, please go back and watch it. It's brilliant. I had such a good idea of how it was going to work. They were all going to throw away their guns, and they were going to become one with the fish, and we were going to all live together. But this didn't happen, and instead it was like it was supposed to be tense. I'm going to lie, I didn't feel as tense on this one. They were all going to shoot. So the unit soldiers were going to shoot at the corporation soldiers, and the corporation soldiers were going to shoot at Salt. Somehow this all stops, and Salt manages to get away. I think the cliffhanger should have been before this, maybe like a gunshot. That's the cliffhanger. But Salt jumps in the water and swims away. And then we get the worst piece of dialogue I think I've ever heard in any TV show ever. Barkley runs up to the end of the bridge and looks at Salt and goes, "I'll find you, Salt. You'll never swim alone. You'll never swim alone." Why? That's disgusting. It's a horrible, horrible piece of dialogue that is so cringe. It's not even corny, cheesy for the sake of it and to be played off as comedy. It's disgusting. When I heard that line, I wanted to be sick. "You'll never swim alone" is a sentence that, alright, it could have worked if it was used as a joke in an earlier scene. In this context, "You'll never swim alone," whilst he's having guns pointed at him and he's trying to confess his love to the fish. Disgusting. Horrible, horrible piece of dialogue. Anyway, that's my review for this episode. Like I say, it could all wrap up well in the finale. My favourite episode is still episode 1. Russell T Davies did a great job with it, and I hope he doesn't fall flat in the finale. Russell has written the finale, which is getting people scared. You got to remember, this was Russell's passion project before he wanted to come back to Doctor Who, so I think the finale will stick the landing. It's an extended episode. It's 53 minutes instead of the usual 45, so we're getting an extra, just under 10 minutes to focus on this ending, so I'm hoping it'll be good. In saying that, my ranking for the episode 4 of The War Between the Land and the Sea is probably, it's still okay. It's probably a 3.7, 3.8 is my ranking out of 5 for this. Again, it's not bad. It's not a bad ranking. There's just weird things that are happening that don't need to be there, and I'd prefer if they weren't there. Let me know in the comments, what's your ranking of these episodes, or this episode, and what is something that I've missed or something that I spoke about that you have an opinion on. Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe and like if you haven't already, and if you want your name at the end of the next video, you can leave a super thanks in the comments below, but as always, you do not have to. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again very, very soon, and goodbye. We open with some dogs going walkies, and then Tim Shaw munches on them, and Angry Man is angry. Kate's in therapy and is told that she needs to step down for now at unit. But she's basically like, "Nah lad, I'm staying on," and the therapist is like, alright then. Kate's basically like, "Oi mate, you gotta tell me what's going on with this severance and that," and the Prime Minister's like, "Nah lad, I don't know what's going on." He then gives the green light for Barkley to be injected with this weird virus, which he then unknowingly spreads to Salt. Their reunion is quite strange, I must admit. Aquakind don't respond, and it's because they're all dead. They've literally all died from that virus. It's a Russell T Davies Deus Ex Machina, but I love it. Salt surrenders, and we all feel really sad because we're the monsters of this tale. We basically killed off a whole race. Nice one, humans. The tank breaks, and Barkley turns into a fish. I'm not joking. The conclusion of this series is that he turns into a fish. I really thought at this point that Kate was seeing Ibrahim in the distance, but it wasn't. And then Kate gets really angry at this bloke because he threw a plastic bottle on the floor. That's the insane post-credit scene we waited for, guys. And we roll credits. I'm having to silently clap because everyone's in bed, but well done, Russell T Davies. This episode was by far my favourite and completely brought me back. I was very nervous going into this because episodes 3 and 4, if you've seen my reviews, I didn't like very much. I loved episode 1. Episode 2 was good. It was very, very good. Episode 3 and 4 completely lost me. The cliffhanger was good. That's all I have for it. So I was scared that this was going to fall flat. Because even though I like the reality war, and even though I like Empire of Death, they're not strong pieces of well-written television. So I was very scared with Russell writing the finale that this could all just crumble in and break open like a big water tank. Which it did. But it was so, so good. And I'd love to talk about it with you. So obviously we open with the sea devil, homo aqua, getting like a big shell thing and just blowing into it. And it attracts all the dogs, which I think is such a clever way to play on their powers. And it's showing us, like I said, there's a lot of this series that I think has been a lot of telling us stuff without showing us stuff. And this shows us a sea devil blowing into it. And obviously the humans don't hear it. It's like a dog whistle, literally a dog whistle, that brings in all the dogs to the sea. And then Homo Aqua scran the dogs, which is like a lot darker than I think this played on it. Like, imagine your family dog. I mean, I don't have a dog, but I know probably a lot of you watching this will. Imagine your dog just gets summoned to a beach and then eaten by Aquakind. Like, that's dark stuff. Like, imagine that happening. So, it's very cool. It reminded me a lot of Children of Earth. I know I've said that a lot throughout this series, but the fact that only children responded to the 456 and the fact that only dogs responded to this. But I thought, the cool link there, cool link. And then obviously we get told that Kate keeps seeing Ibrahim everywhere, which I think is a common thing after a shocking death. They say you see them everywhere, and they say after breakups too, like after a breakup you'll see your girlfriend everywhere. And I think it gets played on really well. And if it's real, if this is a real thing, they touch on it so good. I was going to say goodly, that's not a word. They touch on it so goodly. But Kate, Gemma Redgrave is just a gem. She literally is a gem. But she plays the role of Kate so brilliantly. And this scene was brilliant, alongside obviously what comes next, which was Kate's therapy scene, which there'd been speculations online that Kate's therapy scene was the post-credit scene and Kate was going to step down. We actually got a little bit of this, where Kate got told to step down. She was told that she was being let go from unit because of her unwell mental being, her mental being bad. Sure, let's go with that. And that was so cool because, I thought in that moment, oh God, they're actually binning off Kate. She's actually going to be gone. Obviously not. It gets resolved by Kate being an absolute badass. I mean, obviously it's scary because I assume this does happen a lot in real life, where people use their power to get what they want. Definitely happens. And Kate, saying to the therapist, well, I know that your daughter isn't your husband's, and this will come out if you do not let me stay on and give me a doubleage of my dose of, medication she's on. Which, like I say, it's scary to think that stuff like that happens in real life. Horrible, scary stuff. But no, Kate's that whole bit with Kate. Kate's character's done so well in this series, and I'm glad she wasn't killed off. There was a bit later on, which I'll get to, where I did think they were going to kill off Kate, and I got scared. I got really scared. But no, it's good. Now, was it meant to be a thing that we don't know that Barkley's meant to be turning into a fish? Because, as soon as he started doing like this, feeling his neck, I was like, oh, well, he's going to turn into a fish at the end. Obviously, he didn't actually at the end, transform into a fish, which I thought he might do. He just has the ability to breathe through the gills, which is the only complaint I have with this episode, is it's not really explained how that happened. Was it through a kiss? I know there's probably something that was explained last episode, but I try not to think of episode 4 as much as possible. So let me know in the comments, was it explained why Barkley could now all of a sudden grow gills? because like surely Salt would warn him and be like, "Oh, don't kiss me, Barkley. You'll turn into a fish person." We'll get more onto that later because I have got some nags about that whole. See, I mean, the ending itself is good, it's nice, I like it, but there are some complaints I have with it that don't make total sense. But like I say, we'll get to that in a bit. But I don't think it was meant to be a subtle thing that he was turned into a fish, because it can't have been. Like, you must have realised at home. Did you realise at home, or am I just like super smart all of a sudden? Watching Sherlock just turned me into a complete genius. I will say Russell definitely had the best episodes, in my opinion. I'm seeing people on Twitter say the complete opposite. People are saying that Russell's episodes were weak and Pete McTighe's episode were they were much better. I disagree. I think episodes 1 and 5 are definitely my favourite, and I think I'd rank them both a 5 out of 5. Whereas Pete's episodes, they just felt slow. And again, I'll touch more on that later, on how I think this series could have improved, in my opinion, and how I would have improved it if I was in charge. So I will touch on that just a little bit later on. I will say I like the fact that they're almost taking the review video that I feel a bit silly. They looked at my review video. I mean, obviously they didn't because they made it before, but they looked at the type of person who would make a review video like that, and they've gone, let's make it so they're the people we laugh at. Like, I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense. They could have so easily leaned into the fact that a fish person and a human being in a relationship is just normal, something that happens in your everyday life. What do you mean you've never heard of the man who's in love with a fish? It happens on the street corners every day. Round the corner from you, there's someone in love with a fish. They didn't do that. Barkley's ex-wife has a very good line where, Barkley's opening up and he goes, "Look, Barkley, you fell in love with a fish," and something like that. And that was nice. And it made me feel like, okay, the main issue I had is I was worried that it was just going to be accepted that Barkley and Salt were a thing, and it was just going to be like that, and like everyone knows, everyone's okay with it, but it's not. They are, okay, I suppose they're okay with it, but it's pointed out that it's a bit strange. It's a bit strange, and I was worried it would just be normalised, and it hasn't been. And so I'm very, very glad about that, because that could have ruined my enjoyability of this final episode. The fish fingers joke was hilarious. I was laughing for about 30 seconds at the fish fingers joke, and Barkley's reaction to, obviously he lifts up I don't even know what it's called, like the thing, you get a plate and you lift it up, your meal's there. And it was fish fingers, and he was like, very funny, very funny. And that's just real. That's real. That would happen in real life if a man got frisky with a fish. It's still weird to talk about, isn't it? It's still weird to talk about. I really thought they were going to kill Kate. And the Prime Minister texts out to the Severance people, and basically there's an alert that pops up, and obviously the alert's to put the virus in Barkley, which he can then pass on to the sea. I'm assuming it wasn't actually explained how the virus got in the sea. I'm assuming that was it. They put the virus in Barkley. When he kissed Salt, that spread out to the ocean. Unless I'm wrong. I don't know what accord was, unless accord was something to do with that. I'm still a little bit confused. Not a lot was explained. This was the one issue, well, not the one, but one of the issues my mum had. She said that nothing was actually explained. We had to make our mind up on how Barkley got the gills, and how the virus got into the water. But I'm pretty sure that injection they put into Barkley was how the virus got spread. But when the Prime Minister gave the green light to do that, I thought that was them giving the green light to kill Kate, and I got so scared they were going to kill Kate, because, like I've said, you could probably gather from this review alone, I love Kate, and if she'd have died, I think I would have probably cried. I know that rhymes. I would have probably cried. I thought Barkley was going to get assassinated at the end. When Heroes started playing, and they got the call, Kate got the call, I thought Barkley was going to have been shot by the rampage, not rampage, what they call it, like protesters. Horrifying stuff. I was very scared, very scared. Now, the one thing I don't get about this virus is, like, the Prime Minister gave the green light for it to be injected into Barkley. Why didn't they do this sooner? What was Severance actually waiting for? Because the only reason they put the virus in Barkley to be spread was because Kate was onto them, and so they needed to finish it. But, why? If you're going to wipe out the whole race, why wait? As much as I wouldn't do it, in these characters, why are they waiting? Why are they just sat around with this virus that could, like, make them victorious? Why aren't they spreading it? So that left me a little bit confused. And again, maybe I've missed something, so feel free to comment below. Leave a super thanks as well. But yeah, why didn't they Why didn't they release it sooner? Makes no sense to me. Did I miss something? Maybe I did. Like, there was literal mentions of ice caps melting. Not a single mention of, like, let's set off the virus now. And, like, the Prime Minister was scared. He was like, like, what are we going to do? We don't have 5 years. We don't have 5 years. Why not release the virus then? I think I must just be missing something, but please comment below, let me know. Salt and Barclay's reunion was cool to see. I'm still not buying it. I don't like their relationship, and I'm not going to complain as much as I did last week, because I understand now there's a lot of people that do. A lot of people love their relationship, and they were rooting for them a lot. I'm not one of those people. I think the relationship still is a bit silly, and I can't take it seriously. Which is weird, because there are so many episodes of Torchwood or Doctor Who where, like, a different race from English? What? God, turns to Farage. A different race from humans will get together with another race. I just find it like the paving slab from Love and Monsters. I don't care about that. I just think it's quite funny. But this just felt weird. I don't know. I just felt like there was no chemistry. There was no real chemistry. Nothing to make me believe in their relationship. So yeah, little bit of a down for me that. But I'm not mad, because I understand there are people out there who like it. So I can't be angry, it's just not for me. And this episode spent a lot of time focusing on characters. Like, it got to a point where I was half an hour in. I looked at my phone and I was like, there's only 20 minutes left and nothing has happened in regards to concluding the plot. I felt like, and Russell does characters brilliantly. This is something I've said that's been missing from Doctor Who. We need more character moments, and there was a lot of that in here. A lot of character moments. But it felt like the plot wasn't happening. I mean, obviously I was proven wrong, because I think the plot ended perfectly. But there was a lot of just like sitting down and talking with people, and it's important conversation. I think McTighe didn't do that as well as Russell, but there was important conversation. But I was thinking, like, there's 20 minutes left and they've got to end the war. How are they going to do that? But then we get to how they do end the war, and I loved this. Seeing those sea devils, or homo aqua kind, just floating on the water upside down, or face down, like how fish do. Like, there was a couple of summers ago I was in Wales. And I was walking down this like stream, and it was a hot summer. I think it was 2023, and there was like a drought in like the water, and the fish. So that means that the water was low down, so the fish were just floating, and it was quite haunting to look at. And this felt quite harrowing. I was looking at, like, because they look like men, don't they? They look like man, like humans, but they're fish people, and they were just floating upside down, and it was really haunting, really harrowing. I was looking at that, and I was just thinking, like, wow, this is dark, and I love it. I loved it so much. I think that was probably the highlight of the episode for me, was the floating fish people. So cool. So cool. And like, it just makes me think back to that first episode, you know, and it does make me sad. Thinking back to that first episode when we first see a homo aqua stood there in the water and the lightning, and it's basically just stood there talking like, we just want peace. You've polluted us, and we are the bad guys. Still, we are the bad guys. Like, this isn't an alien invasion. They've just said, you eat our fish, which are our family, you pollute us, we just want peace with you, and they end up getting wiped out. It's so sad that that's how that, like, and it's good because it's different from every other Silurian and Sea Devil story. Normally they end with, okay, fine, we'll go back underground, or we'll go back in the sea, you stay up here, we'll just have to live together. This went to the extreme and killed them. They just wanted peace. They wanted us to stop polluting. We are the bad guys of this story. We're the bad people. We're the villains. And that was done so well, and reminds me so much of what Russell can do. Russell is so clever and so smart, and the underlying message of just, these creatures wanted peace, we killed them. Wow. That is dark, and that is such a good idea for a TV show. So good. So good. But another issue I do have, when Salt comes to, you know, be like, we've ended the war, this is the end of the war, you've won. They clearly have technology beyond us, right? They literally made it rain plastic and rain like the Titanic from the sky. They must be able to have something up their sleeve That, you know, they just come and be like, okay, humans, you win. They're beyond us, you know. They've got technology beyond us. They must do. They literally made it rain plastic bag for lives from the sky. So I wasn't too sure about that, but fine. I can look past it, whatever. It was sad. An issue that both me and my mum felt was that Barclay's surname got brought up a lot. Barclay Pierre Dupont. Where's that from? Oh, it's French. Happened a lot. It was brought up a lot, and it just felt like that could have been leading to something. You know, I write stuff. You get told all the time, you don't put something in that has no relevance. Asking what someone's surname is it French, over and over again, should lead to something. It should have some sort of payoff. Maybe there was a deleted scene, fine. But, you know, we got nothing from that. You know, like, what? Did anyone else feel that? Maybe that's just me being a bit silly. But I feel like, you know, I don't know, I was hoping there would be a shock. My mum said this as well. We like when there's a big, like, oh, and it was there in front of us all along. Barclay Pierre Dupont stands for Barclay, push that red button over there, and that actually stops it all, you know, something like that. Obviously that would be rubbish, but something along those lines of, like, it meaning something, because, you know, I googled it. Pierre Dupont means Peter, son of Paul, I think, and Pierre Dupont is a famous old-time music composer from France. I don't think they're related at all, unless there's a hidden Easter egg in there somewhere. I don't know, like Mr. Saxon, you know, Harold Saxon in Doctor Who is an anagram. Mr. Saxon is an anagram of Master Number 6, because he was the 6th Master. So maybe it's something like that. I don't know. A bit I loved was the water catching up to, that, you know, they always said, you know, the water will catch up to you in the end. They said that to the woman who leaks Barclay's face, the Prime Minister, and the other guy, and they show them, like, the Prime Minister. And people were saying on Twitter, like, oh, it's them imagining how they're going to die. I took it as, like, that's us seeing how they die, how the water catches up to them. But we're seeing it happen. Obviously, they can't see it happen because it's not happened to them yet. But, you know, the guy in the shower having, like, the flood effect of, like, the water shooting out of his mouth like a hose pipe, and the people in the car. That's a horrifying scene to see. Like, imagine being trapped in a car where there's water and you can't get out. Horrible. So, that I liked very, very much. And the tank cracking, that was cool as well. Like, I mean, surely Shirley could have stopped that, though. Surely every episode is... Surely she'd have to have removed the water, because every episode the water gets put in. They're like, right, oh, I saw DTDW do this in his reaction, but, like, a lot of this show has just been like, right, Shirley, open floodgates 1. Opening floodgates 1. Right, fertilise the water. Water fertilise. Right, sterilise the humans. Sterilising humans. Homo aqua, enter. Entering homo aqua. That's like everything. But surely Shirley will have had to remove that water at some point. She could have removed the water, unless it's a long process, which I'm sure will be the you know, the way they'll counteract what I'm about to say. But, you know, it feels like that could have been concluded. And then they shut the doors as if the water's not going to burst through the doors. Like, what? But, you know, it's not that big of a deal. It was a cool looking shot. They should have used it in the trailers. Would have been cool. I saw behind the scenes footage of Russell, like, showing the tank bursting, and it's just a big green screen. It's cool. They mentioned the Doctor. They mentioned why the Doctor wasn't there. You know, humans have to deal with their own consequences on their own. Sometimes we leave them to do that. Fine. I liked they gave an explanation. There were a lot of people who wanted an explanation. I don't care. The Doctor can't be there all the time. Fine. Like, that's literally what Torchwood was. So I didn't need an explanation, but a lot of people felt like they did. So it was good that this was, like, added on to the end. And now on to my biggest down for this episode. My biggest issue with it. Why did Barclay cry and ring up his kid and his ex-wife and be like, I'm leaving you and all that, if all he's doing is going to live in the ocean now? It's been established that Homo amphibia can walk on land. Salt literally survived on land for, I think it was a full night, maybe even a 24-hour period. Barclay can come back and see his kid and his ex-wife. It's not goodbye. They can come back. Like, what? And I get, you know, he's the witch of the waterfall now, whatever, but I would have preferred, this is going to sound bad, I would have preferred Barclay to get shot. Full on Charlie Kirk situation, okay? Like, you know, it was established throughout that people don't like Barclay. They feel like he's a traitor. If he'd have just been shot or stabbed or punched and just like a death, we needed a big death, and we had Ibrahim. But if Barclay had died at the end, I'd have cried and I'd have felt sad. And I think, that's more sad. And we'd have seen Kirby, I've forgotten her name, but his ex-wife, we'd have seen those guys being sad that their dad and their ex-husband has died. And that would have hit me more than just, I'm going for a swim. See you later, yeah? Going for a swim. But it's sad because I might not come back. And if he doesn't come back, he's a bit of a knobhead. It's been established that Homo amphibia can walk on land. And unless, Barkley has, he's turning into this fish that can't walk on land, fine, but that's not explained. It doesn't, like, how has he got gills? That's something else I got written here. Was it through the kiss? That was my guess. I wrote down, I guess it was through the kiss, question mark, I put. But, that's never explained unless I missed it. That, if a Homo amphibia kisses a human, they grow gills. Sure, fine, whatever. But it's not explained. And that was the big thing that made me feel not as emotional about the ending that I think I could have been if he was shot, or if there was an actual reason that if it was established he couldn't walk on land. If they dug up some information, it was even just like Shirley reading off a screen saying, once Homo amphibia has kissed human can no longer breathe on land. Would have explained it. I'd feel sad that Barkley's gone. Yeah, no. But in saying that, the emotions were high when Heroes started playing and they were swimming together. I did feel something. As much as I don't like their relationship, I'm glad to see them both happy. And, these characters have been fleshed out well. As much as I don't like their relationship, like I keep saying, the character work has been really good this series. And there's a good choice of song. I actually listened to the song, you're saying this on Monday, I'm recording Sunday. Saturday night, before the episode aired, I listened to this song whilst I was playing a game. And it got me thinking about how could this be used? Is there going to be a big piece? Oh, I didn't write this down. ACOM? It's not ACOM. The word that Salt's like, spread this and Homo aqua and all that will, they'll know what it means. And it was actually going to be that they were going to come to peace and live together. And that didn't happen. That really got me. That was me thinking, I should have mentioned this earlier when I was talking about peace. Like, that could have been an option. If this severance thing never happened, if Kate never went into that room, we could be living at peace. And I thought when I heard this Heroes song, because they released it on Spotify before, I thought, that's what's going to happen. We're going to live at peace and we're going to be happy and they're actually going to live on land with us and stuff. But it makes it just all the more sad that it wasn't that. But yeah, it was, yeah. The emotions were high, even though I don't care about them. Well, I care about them, I just don't care about their relationship. I'd like more explanation about Barkley's fins. I keep calling them fins, gills. I'd like more explanation about that, but besides that, what can you do? But the post-credit scene was good. I hate myself because I did imagine it to be something more. I thought maybe there'd be something to do with Billie Piper. I actually put on Twitter, got a few likes, that I thought maybe Kate's therapist was going to be revealed to be the master somehow. Like maybe she'd do the giggle, or she'd have the red fingernails that picked up the tooth, or something that us hardcore fans, that wouldn't tarnish the story for new viewers and it being its own separate thing, but something that us fans would pick up on and go, oh. But the post-credit scene was Kate pointing a gun at somebody because they littered and they were polluting their plastic bottle into the sea. Which, I mean, it doesn't make much sense because surely that guy has lived on Earth for the past few days and seen that the fish people aren't happy, so why would you do that? But it was cool. I think it went on a bit too long. Kate was sat there like, pick the bottle up. It was just like, calm down, girl, alright? And you'd pick it up, wouldn't you? If you had a gun pointed at you, you'd pick it up straight away. There was a lot of hanging about, but it was good. This was definitely the best episode for sure. I think if you'd have cut episode 4 and had this series be 4 episodes at 60 minutes each, that would have worked better for me, personally, because I hate episode 4. But the rest is really good. Make it 4 episodes, 60 minutes, would be 10 out of 10. But my final ranking for this episode, the final episode of The War Between the Land and the Sea, and I can't quite believe I'm saying this for a Russell T Davies finale, is 5 out of 5. This series has gotten 5 out of 5. It's got a 5 out of 5 episode in the finale. Is that possible? I don't know. I'm going to do some maths now. So, episode 1, I rated 4.8. Episode 2, I rated 4.7. Episode 3, I rated 4.3. And then episode 4, I rated 3.6, was it? I think I did. And then plus 5. So that's 22.4. And then I divide that by 5. That's a 4.4, ignore my iPhone 8, my old one broke. 4.48 rating out of 5. That's really good. That's good. I'm happy with the ending. This series, like I say, wasn't what I thought it would be. I thought it would be something else, which I still think would be a better idea. Maybe I'll make it one day. Or maybe I already have. Ooh. But yeah, this series has been fab. I lost a bit of hope in the middle, but the rest of it, well done. Russell, Pete, pat yourself on the back. Even Gugu and Russell, you did a great job. Russell Tovey, that is. You did a great job being the leads. And all the supporting cast, all the supporting crew, and writers and script editors and stuff. I've actually got a script here, which, keep your eyes peeled for this, guys. It's going to be flipping fab 2026 coming to you soon. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching my big review video, if you're not watching my big review video, it'll come out sometime next week. It'll be all my reviews put together with some bonus content like synopsises and tier lists and stuff like that. So keep your eyes peeled. If you've watched all of that, there's a tier list coming next. If you're watching the individual review, nothing's coming next because it's the end of the video. So leave a super thanks if you can, if you wouldn't mind. Comment what your thoughts are on the series, what your ranking is. Leave a like. I love you all so much to bits. I really do. And yeah, ta-ra. I've been Sam from Cybus Industries. We can all rest easy for Christmas. Let's go. Hey, congratulations, you made it to the tier list part of the video where I'm going to rank all of the episodes on this trusty tier list right here. I haven't done one of these for a while. This is going to be quick, snappy, I've done all my reviews, you've heard all of them. So let's just hop straight in with episode 1, which I believe is this one, Homo Aqua. I'm going to put it in S. I think it's brilliant. I think it's great. I think it sets up the story perfectly. It jumps straight in. I would have liked to see a little bit more, which I think the hour-long episodes would have been better, to see Barclay's life normally before jumping straight in. But it's fine. This thing makes total sense. The reason why they picked Barclay. I think this episode is one I was most excited for. It has a decent enough cliffhanger. Very good. I love it. Homo Aqua, brilliant. Pierce is used well, General Pierce, and Barclay's used well, and I don't know what more to say. Is good. It's good. It's harder to rank serialized stories, which is why it's going to be more snappy. We jump into episode 2, which is Plastic Apocalypse, which I enjoyed slightly less. I'm going to put this one A or B. It's A. It was good. There was a lot of. I felt there was too much meetings. There was a lot of council. Not council. What are they called? Like the ones where they get together. The meetings where they get together. This episode just felt like a lot of those over and over again. So I'm gonna put it in A. I think A is right, unless I can move it around later on. This episode was cool. It had the really good scenes. I think the makeup for it was the plastic falling from the sky and stuff was super duper cool. But yeah, no, I think B's A is the right place for it. I'm trying to think what else I liked about this episode. The cliffhanger was a bit dog. It was a bit rubbish. And the whole setup to Severance could have been done better. But A, I'm not a proper critic. I enjoyed it. It's going in A. Episode 3, The Deep, was a B. I wasn't a fan of it at all. Well, no, I liked the cliffhanger, and I suppose seeing a bit of the aqua layer was cool. But besides that, it just was very slow. It was a lot of just like, here is them in a tank. Here is a meeting. Here is them in a tank. Here is a meeting. Here is them in a tank. Here is Kate and Christopher. Here is them in a tank. Kate and Christopher get shot at. Here is them blowing up Sea Devil Base. End of episode. And it just felt a little bit longed out, which is why I think, blend episode 3 and 4 together would have been perfect. So yeah, B, slightly worse than these ones. They aren't as good as that for sure. But not as bad as what's coming next. The Witch and the Waterfall. D. I hate this episode, which is weird because it's a lot of people's favourites. The Witch and the Waterfall, it's not good, is it? I didn't like it. I mean, the sex scene's bad enough to make me not like it, but the episode felt like nothing. These two could have been bundled together and it would have been perfect, but no. The Witch and the Waterfall, bad episode, in my opinion. Remember, this is all my opinion. Okay, let me know your rankings below. But yeah, no, Witch and the Waterfall, not for me. Not my cup of tea. It's not where I tread my feet personally. The bit where the bit where Kirby dobs him in is quite a good scene. But it's predictable. Too many boner jokes. Move on. And then finally, I think you know where this is going to go. The final episode, the end of the war, for me, is better than Homo Aqua. The finale is the best episode of this series for sure. I loved it. It's definitely going in top spot. What more do you want? What more do you want? It was brilliant. You've just heard my thoughts on the episode, so you know why I'm putting it there. But yeah, great series. I'm happy with it. I mean, we had a really bad stinker in episode 4, and I thought maybe I'd put episode 5 here. This is my predict before I'd seen the episode. I thought this would be it, and it'd just constantly be getting worse, apart from these two, which could be switched. But no, I loved it. It's a great series. Like I say, Rusty Davies and co. You should be so proud of yourselves. You've created a great piece of television here. And as much as I didn't like the middle episodes, you know, the rest of it's good, and the people on Twitter like it, and their opinions matter a lot more than mine does. So, yeah. Thank you for watching this extra long video. Please do leave a like and subscribe, and I love you all to bits. Leave a super thanks, leave a comment, tell me what you think. What do you want to see more of on this channel in next year? Because we haven't got any Doctor Who until December next year. So, God knows what I'm going to do to survive. I'll have to just go and watch classic Doctor Who, I suppose. Sure. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed rest of your day. I've been Sam, and I'll see you again later. Ta-ra.